(8:45), this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Soundithavam. The National Industrial Excellence Awards ceremony was held today under the patronage of the President. The private sector presents proposals to boost the revenue and efficiency in the public sector. Minister Manusha Nanayakara alleges that there are few politicians and groups trying to mislead the public even after the government decided to increase the salaries of the public servants. The parliamentary schedule for 2024 budget. Lanka Satosa reduces the prices of two essential commodities. The process of providing compensation to crop damage in the Mathile district has commenced. Warning issued as water levels in the Udavalava reservoir rise. Workers' remittances reach $482 million. Tourism turns Sri Lanka's second highest foreign exchange earner. News overseas. Indonesia and China to conduct study on high-speed railway extension. In sports, Sri Lankan athletes return home from China. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has met several private sector representatives today and discussed the reforms programs aimed at moving from crisis to recovery and sustainable growth, the President's media division reported. During the discussions, the private sector representatives have presented proposals to increase revenue and improve efficiency in the public sector, according to the PMD. The second reading of the appropriation bill for the fiscal year 2024, the budget speech, is to be presented to Parliament by President Ranil Wickremesinghe in his capacity as the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilisation and National Policies at 12 noon on the 13th of November. Thereafter, the second reading of the 2024 budget will be debated for a period of 1 week, from the 14th to the 21st of November. The vote for the second reading of the budget is scheduled to be held at 6 p.m. on the 21st of November, following which the committee stage debate will be held for a period of 19 days, from November 22nd to the 13th of December. Accordingly, the vote on the third reading of the 2024 budget is slated to be held at 6 p.m. on the 13th of December. Accordingly, during the period in which the budget is slated to be debated, the debate is scheduled to be held from 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. every day, while the adjournment debate will be held from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. every day, except the date of the vote. People residing on the banks of the Vallava River have been warned to remain vigilant and refrain from using the water body in light of the rising water levels in the Udavalava reservoir. Accordingly, the Mahaveli Development Authority warned that the sluice gates of the Udavalava reservoir may be opened at any time as water levels keep rising owing to the heavy downpour. Thus, people residing in low-lying areas to the Vallava River, Udavalava reservoir and the Ambalantota area have been advised to exercise caution. Meanwhile, the Irrigation Department reported that minor flooding has been reported in some areas around the Attanagalu Oya and Kuda Oya. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Sri Lanka Customs has recorded the highest revenue for the month of October compared to previous months within this year, the Customs media spokesman Sivali Arukkoda said. He said the Sri Lanka Customs has earned more than 109 billion rupees in revenue in October. The major reason for the increase in revenue was streamlining and making the tax collection process more efficient. This year, the customs revenue is expected to exceed 925 billion rupees. By October 31, 2023, the Customs Department had collected a total revenue of 760 billion rupees. The process of providing compensation to crop damages in the Mathile district has commenced. Accordingly, 320 farmers and cultivators from the Mathile district will be provided with compensation for the crop damage which occurred during 2022 and 2023 Maha season. The distribution of compensation to the farmers commenced at the Mathile District Secretariat recently under the patronage of Minister Mahinda Amaravira. Compensation worth 2 million rupees was provided to the respective farmers at this occasion. Lanka Satos has reduced the prices of 2 essential commodities. Accordingly, a kilo of ground nuts has been reduced by 9 rupees and the new price is 540 rupees. A kilo of green beans reduced by 77 rupees and the revised price is 998 rupees. The National Industrial Excellence Awards ceremony was held this afternoon at Nelumpokuna Theatre under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The main objective of this ceremony was to promote the best industrial products that have been contributed to the economy of the country. Further, this process will also recognize and honor the best industrialists for their production and contribution towards the revival of the economy. The Ministry of Industry and Industrial Board of Sri Lanka have jointly organized this awards ceremony. The awards were given to 21 main industrial fields and 67 co-industrial productions. Around 300 recipients were given gold, silver and bronze medals. Addressing the audience, President Wickremesinghe said, the government has decided to provide loan facilities to small entrepreneurs. The central bank has the full authority of printing currency notes. However, this process has been brought under control during the last few months. The government plans to increase the revenue by next year. The VAT has been increased up to 18%. The crucial and difficult decision was taken for the benefit of the future generation of this country. The President also said that he took over the reins of the country in order to revive the stalled economy. Anyone can easily find mistakes and level allegations against the government, but it is difficult to overcome the challenges and take the country forward. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Minister Manusha Nanayakara said there are few politicians and groups trying to mislead the public, even after the government decided to increase the salaries of the public servants. The government made this decision a few months ago. The minister made these comments at a function Garusaru held this morning. The main objective of this program is to recognize and honor the private sector employees, including bus drivers, bus conductors and assistants. This program will also honor all varieties of employments, including domestic aids. The ministry has taken effective measures to provide relief assistance and other facilities to the employees and working force of this country during the last 18 months. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the number of dengue cases in several areas of the Western Province and in the Kandy district of the Central Province has increased. The National Dengue Control Unit says most of the breeding grounds of mosquitoes have been identified around schools and religious places in many areas. The director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, said 66,652 dengue cases have been reported in Sri Lanka so far this year. That came to you in Watchlight and on to a bulletin of world news. Making headlines tonight, Indonesia and China to conduct study on high-speed railway extension. North Korea could be closing some diplomatic missions due to lack of funds. And Britain hosts first global summit on AI safety. Indonesia's government says China has agreed to conduct a joint feasibility study regarding the extension of a railway that was launched last month. The 140-kilometer high-speed train route between the capital Jakarta and the city of Bandung started operating on October 2nd. The new plan is to extend the line by 500 kilometers to the second-largest city of Surabaya. Indonesia's State Enterprise Ministry said the two countries signed a joint study agreement for the extension project last month. North Korea appears to have decided to shut down some of its diplomatic missions, prompting speculation that the country is not able to maintain them due to economic difficulties amid international sanctions. Multiple sources say North Korea's foreign ministry recently notified China of its decision to close the consulate general in Hong Kong, possibly to streamline the operation of overseas diplomatic establishments. South Korea's Yonhap news agency has reported that the North also conveyed its intention to close down its embassies in Uganda, Angola and Spain to respective governments, according to the local media reports and other sources. The first global summit for discussing ways to mitigate the dangers posed by artificial intelligence kicks off on Wednesday in Britain. The AI Safety Summit 2023, held just outside London, will run for 2 days. About 100 people are taking part, including senior government officials from the United States, China, Japan, and 25 other countries. Back to the headlines of the world news. Indonesia and China to conduct study on high-speed railway extension. North Korea could be closing some diplomatic missions due to lack of funds. And Britain hosts first global summit on AI safety. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
For the first time, tourism has been elevated as the second highest foreign exchange earner to Sri Lanka after foreign remittances, said Chairman Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Chalaka Gajabahu. The number 2 slot, which was apparel's exports, have dipped by around 20%, and this has helped Sri Lanka to be made the second highest foreign exchange generation industry to Sri Lanka. He said that they also upgraded their arrival target from 1.5 million to 1.7 million, as they expect over 200,000 to 250,000 in the months of November and December. The free visa on arrival will also help to boost the country's arrival target by 10%. That came to you in development news. Sports news up next.
Moving on with sports news.
The Sri Lanka team, which participated in the Asia Para Games held in Hangzhou, China, arrived at the Katunayake airport. The athletes won 11 medals, which included 2 gold medals, 5 silver medals and 4 bronze medals. Sri Lanka also finished in 18th place in the medals table. That's sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekaka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Ceylon Bank announced an impressive profit after tax of 4.49 billion rupees for 9 months ended September 30th, 2023, representing a 79.47% surge in growth compared to 2.5 billion rupees in the corresponding period last year, demonstrating resilience in overcoming challenging market and economic conditions. That's business news. Economic news up next.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekaka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news, workers' remittances amounted to $482 million in September 2023 in comparison to $359 million in September 2022 and $499 million in August 2023. Meanwhile, based on the provincial data, total departures of foreign employment in September 2023 and during January to September 2023 amounted to 25,648 and 222,794 respectively, in comparison to the total departures of 311,056 recorded in 2022. Gross official reserves stood at $3.5 billion by the end of September 2023. This included the swap facility from the People's Bank of China, equivalent to around $1.3 billion, which is subject to conditionalities on usability. The central bank absorbed $83 million from the domestic foreign exchange market on a net basis during the month. Overall, the central bank has purchased around $1.6 billion on net basis during January to September 2023. That's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island after 2 p.m. tomorrow. Heavy showers about 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabargama, central and Uva provinces and in the Gaul and Matara districts. Showers will occur in the coastal areas of the eastern province, also in the Hamadara district during the morning too. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabargama, central, north central and Uva provinces during the morning. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The National Industrial Excellence Awards ceremony was held today under the patronage of the President. The private sector presents proposals to boost revenue and efficiency in the public sector. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara alleges that there are few politicians and groups trying to mislead the public even after the government decided to increase the salaries of the public servants. Parliamentary schedule for 2024 budget. Lanka Satosa reduces the prices of 2 essential commodities. The process of providing compensation to crop damage in the Mathile district has commenced. A warning issued as the water levels in the Udavalava reservoir rise. Workers' remittances reach $482 million. Tourism turns Sri Lanka's second highest foreign exchange earner. Indonesia and China to conduct study on high-speed railway extension. And Sri Lankan athletes return home from China. With that, we conclude tonight's news broadcast.